welcome to GCS News, the Summer Camp Edition. I'm Mr. Mark, and yes, I'm wearing a pink tie. We start this week's newscast, as we do every week, singing the good news and praises to God. So stand up, clear your throats, and let's get to singing.
Set apart from the ash, I am born again, forever safe in the Savior's hands. You are more than my words could say. I follow you, Lord, for all my days. Fix my eyes, follow in your ways, forever free in unending grace. Your son down and set me free. Everything of this world will fade. I'm pressing on till I see your face. I will live that your will be done. I won't stop till your kingdom come. 'Cause you are my freedom. We lift you higher, lift you higher. Your love never ending. Death is beaten, you have rescued me. Sing it out, Jesus is alive. The empty cross, the empty grave, life eternal, you have won the day. Shout it out, Jesus is alive. He's alive. Happy day, I'll never be the
perfect peace. Earthly pain finally will cease. Celebrate, Jesus is alive. He's alive. Oh, happy day, happy day. You wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, happy day. I'll never be the same. Oh no, forever I am changed. And oh, what a glorious day, what a glorious way that you have saved me. And oh, what a glorious day, what a glorious name, Jesus. Oh, happy day, happy day. You wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, happy day. I'll never be the same. Oh, happy day, happy day. You wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, happy day. I'll never be the same. No, 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 no. Forever I am changed by your blood, by your grace, oh God. I'll never be the same. I'm in a fight, not physical. I'm in a war, but not with this world. You are the light that's beautiful, and I want more. I want all that's yours. Joy unspeakable that won't go away. Just enough strength to live for the day, so I'll never have to worry what tomorrow may bring. 'Cause my faith is on solid rock. I am counting on God. I am counting on, I am counting on God. I am counting on, I am counting on God. I am counting on, I am counting on God. I am counting on, I am counting on God. Yeah. Whoa, whoa. I'm in a fight, not physical. I'm in a war, but not with this world. You are the light that's beautiful, and I want more. I want all that's yours. Yeah, yeah. Joy unspeakable that won't go away. Just enough strength to live for the day, so I'll never have to worry what tomorrow may bring. 'Cause my faith is on solid rock. I am counting on God. I am counting on, I am counting on God. counting on, I am counting on God. I am counting on, I am counting on God. I am counting on, I am counting on God.
Come on, let's sing. I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Come on, with one voice. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The only knew Jesus when I met you. When you called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Come on. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy. The chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan. Now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open. 'Cause when you called my name, yeah, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Come on, let's praise him together.
That was wonderful. And now for these messages.
There's something we all need to know if you want to keep that healthy glow. Remind your friends in courteous terms. Let's spread the word and not the germs. Wash your hands, it's the right thing to do. It's easy when you only have to. Wash your hands, keep them clean, oh yeah. Hey, hey, wash your hands. But if you find you're not feeling well, like too many trips around the carousel, call the doctor, that's what you do. The doc will take good care of you, and you'll feel better too. Wash your hands and make your mother proud, and maybe you can join the popular crowd. Wash your hands like 50 times a day, oh yeah. Hey, hey, wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Welcome back. Our next segment is our correspondent, Mr. Scott, with this week's World News and Bible Report. Take it away, Mr. Scott.
Good morning, boys and girls. Last week I came into your classroom and I said, I heard there were a bunch of little nerds in here. And I made that a joke because I gave all of you a little box of nerds. The next day I came in and I said, I heard that there were a bunch of little dum-dums in your classroom. And I gave each one of you a dum-dum sucker. That wasn't really very nice, was it? But I kind of tried to make it up the next day by saying, I heard today that there are a lot of little Smarties in your room. And I gave all of you a little roll of Smarties candies. But I wanted to tell you today that God sometimes uses people that might be considered nerds or might be considered not as smart as some other people or not as brave as other people. God is always using unusual folks to get his will accomplished. And I want to tell you a little bit about one of them today. His name was Gideon. Gideon lived back in the time of the judges, before there were kings in Israel. And one day he was hiding in a threshing place. That's a place where you would kind of get inside a little shed and you would knock the heads off of wheat or barley and you would get some of the grains ready to make bread. And the reason he was inside doing it is because if he was outside, the enemy, at that time, a group of people called the Midianites, would come in and basically steal whatever was being made by God's people. In other words, the bullies. I don't know if you've ever had a bully come up to you at school, hopefully not our school, but anywhere, your neighborhood, at school, out in the subdivision, and demand that you give them something that belonged to you. It's not very fun. That's what was happening to God's people. And Gideon was inside, kind of hiding from the bullies so he could make some bread. Well, lo and behold, it got very bright inside that shed, and an angel appeared and said, "Greetings, mighty warrior." Well, the last thing that Gideon felt like at that time was a mighty warrior. He felt like a pretty big coward, a nerd, a dum-dum, hiding out in his shed trying to make a little bread for his family. And the angel revealed to Gideon that God wanted him to go fight the Midianites. And Gideon was like, no, I'm a little guy from a little family in a little tribe of Israel. You surely could find somebody better than me. And the angel said, no, God has chosen you. Gideon was so sure that he wasn't up to this task that he said, I need some signs from God. I need to know that God is with me if he wants me to go do this for him. And the angel said, well, what would you like? And Gideon said, I'll tell you what, tomorrow I'm going to put a little piece of sheepskin outside my house. And when I wake up, I want the sheepskin to be wet, but all the ground around it to be dry. And the angel said, all right, go for it. The next day, or the next night anyway, Gideon put out the sheepskin, and the next morning he woke up and all the ground around the sheepskin was dry, but the sheepskin itself was sopping wet. And he thought, well, that's kind of easy. Anybody could make a wet sheepskin and throw it in the middle of the dry earth. He said, tomorrow, Mr. Angel, I want you to make God make all of the ground wet, but the little sheepskin dry. And the angel said, all right, give it a shot. And the next morning, sure enough, it was just as Gideon had asked. All of the ground around the sheepskin was a muddy mess, but the sheepskin itself, right in the middle of all that, was bone dry. And Gideon said, I guess It's time for me to do what God has asked me to. So Gideon put out a call to all the people of Israel. He said, we've been bullied by these Midianites for quite some time. Let's get together, build an army, and go fight them. And so he put out the call, and 35,000 Israelite men came to say, we will fight the Midianites. 35,000, that sounds like a lot, right? Well, the Midianites had an army of 135,000. 100,000 more soldiers than Gideon was able to gather. So how would that look to you? 135,000 bullies against 35,000 people who are being bullied. Which side would you rather be on? Yeah, me too. I would rather be on the big side. But God said, Gideon, we have a problem here. You have 35,000 soldiers. And Gideon was thinking, well, I'm glad that you see I have a problem, God. I don't have enough. God said, no. You have too many. What? You have too many people. Wait a minute, God. They have 135,000. We only have 35,000. What do you mean we have too many? You have too many. Tell everybody who wants to go home to go home. And when they did, 25,000 went home. Now it was 135,000 to 10,000. And Gideon was sweating it. He said, oh, God, I've only got 10,000. And God said, yeah, I know. That's too many. Gideon was like, what? No, you don't understand. 10 against 135. Bad odds. And God said, take them down to the river and let them take a drink. And those who put their face down into the water to take a drink, note who they are. And the ones who pick up water in their hand and drink it from their palms, note them. Gideon did that. And he said, all right, I want you to take all the ones who drank from their hands and put them over there. Count them out. He did. He said, 300. He said, okay, send the other 9,700 home. That's the 300 that I'm going to use to defeat the Midianites. Wow. Gideon must have been shaking his head and having trouble sleeping that night. 135,000 soldiers who were bullies against 300 people that God had put together. So Gideon must have been thinking, okay, God's going to give us a special weapon. Today that might be an atomic bomb or a nuclear bomb of some sort, some huge weapon. And God said, yes, I have some weapons in mind. He said, I want you to go out and I want you to find 300 bugles, trumpets, and I want you to find 300 torches. Back then that would have been like a flashlight. And he said, and I also want you to find 300 clay pitchers that you use to pour water or wine. So you want me to get 300 clay pitchers, you want me to get 300 torches, and 300 bugles. Got it. What's that all about? Well, they went out and God said, get ready. And he said, what I want you to do is I want you to light the torches and I want you to put them under the clay pitchers. I want you to have the bugle in the other hand. When you give the command, I want you to shout, the sword of the Lord and Gideon. And then I want everyone to break their clay pitcher so the lights will shine. And I want you to blow the horns all in the middle of the night above the valley where all of the 135,000 bullies are camping out, getting ready to do battle with me. And Gideon must have thought, okay, sounds pretty weird, but I'll give her a shot. And so in the middle of the night, 300 of God's people surrounded the Midianite bullies, all 135,000 of them down in the valley. And they did exactly as God had asked. They blew their horns. They cracked those pitchers. They held up their torches of light in the night and they shouted, the sword of the Lord and Gideon! All of the bullies ran outside their tents. What's going on? Oh my gosh, we're completely surrounded. Oh, I think there's one of them there. And they got their bows and arrows out and they began to shoot. They got their spears out and they began to throw. They began to swing wildly with their swords, killing each other while God's people were up on the mountaintops just watching. All through the night, the Midianite army fought against themselves. When the morning finally came and the sun kind of rose above the mountains to the east, it cast its rays down upon a very grisly sight. 135,000 bullies of God's people were dead in the valley. And the 300, just the little 300 people that God had used for the victory, hadn't even had to shoot one arrow, throw one spear, or stab with one sword. Pretty amazing, isn't it? From Gideon, who said, I'm the littlest person in the littlest family in the littlest tribe. You have to have somebody different in mind. I'm a nerd. I'm a dum-dum. I can't do it. God said, with me, you can. God takes our little and makes it a lot. God takes a few people and he can win a battle against hundreds of thousands of other people. He did it over and over and over again in the Bible. And he does those kind of things today. If we're willing to trust God, he can do amazing things, not just for Gideon, but for us. So the next time you feel like you're not smart enough, you're not brave enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not good looking enough, forget all of that. In the hands of God, you're everything that you need to be. I hope to see you next week, kids. Have fun at camp.
Once again, Mr. Scott, excellent reporting, entertaining and informative as always. And now, this message.
It's fun to wash your hands, and I know you understand. So we washy, clean, scrub, scrub. We start with washing palm to palm. Between each finger, let us rub. Now the back of the hands, it's such a simple plan. We washy, clean, scrub, scrub. Clean the base of the thumbs one by one. Then the back of the fingers, this is fun. Don't forget your fingernails, it's about details. We washy, clean, scrub, scrub. Now move on to the wrist, let us rub. I think we're nearly done, so now what? Just rinse the soap away, dry our hands and we're okay. We washy, clean, scrub, scrub. So we washy, clean, scrub, scrub. We washy, clean, scrub, scrub. It's fun to wash your hands, and I know you understand. We washy, clean, scrub, 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 scrub.
Welcome back. And now it's time for this week's News of the Odd. And this week, our news is coming from China. China is one of the biggest countries in the world and has also got one of the strongest economies. It's also home to more billionaires than anywhere else on the planet. But for a lot of people, China remains one of the world's biggest mysteries. Aside from being famous for silk, Confucius, Maoism, communism, and Chinese food, China would appear to be known for little else. But China is actually a wonderfully exotic country with a whole wealth of interesting and bizarre secrets hidden underneath its remote plains. And because it's home to 1.3 billion people, it's gotta have a little bit of crazy, right? After all, you can't have that many people in the same country and not go a little crazy. So without further ado, let's take a journey into the heart of one of the world's last remaining communist countries and find out some interesting and crazy facts about China. China has a Bigfoot. One of the interesting facts about China is that just like North America, China has its very own Bigfoot. His name is Yaren, which means wild man, and apparently he lives in Hubei province. In 2010, there was a big push to try and find the shy, reclusive old boy. Ice cream was invented in China. Ben & Jerry's might be as Chinese as fish and chips, but ice cream wasn't invented in America, as many might think. Instead, it was invented in the land of noodles and dim sum, China. Indeed, ice cream was invented back in 2000 BC, which means it's older than the ice cream van by about 2,000 years. In China, there are vending machines that sell live crabs. In the Western world, vending machines remind us of the good things in life. A can of Pepsi at work, a Mars bar before a movie. We love vending machines. Another one of the interesting facts about China is that certain parts of the country, rather than cans of Pepsis and bars of chocolate, there are vending machines jam-packed with live crabs. Also, there is a text on the machine that guarantees that your crab will definitely come out alive. Lovely. 35 million people in China live in caves. Even though cavemen disappeared after the Iron Age and the invention of the house, think again. Cave families actually still exist in China. And although they're certainly more sophisticated than the hunched-over Neanderthal brethren from 5,000 years ago, their way of life is essentially the same. The government did attempt to house these cave dwellers a few years ago, but then they realized that 35 million Chinese just love their caves too much. They instead decided to improve their caves. What a lovely thing to do. China has some weird fast food facts. For instance, instead of driving away with their food from the drive-thru, Chinese people actually park their cars and bring the food back in the restaurant to eat it. Also, ketchup was actually an invention of the Chinese. It was originally a pickled fish sauce called ketchup. That just sounds lovely. Pickled fish sauce with your fries. Sure, why not? Soccer originated in China. See that, England? Not your game. China may not excel at the old football, but it actually is the birthplace of the game. Cuju, which really means kick the ball with foot, was a popular game all the way back during the Han Dynasty, which was 2006 BC to 2020 AD. Later, it spread to the neighboring countries like Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. Pajamas are the new black in Shanghai. In the US, wearing sweatpants out in public is basically saying, I give up. But comfy, ugly sleepwear is the go-to option in Shanghai's locales, who are crossing the street to get breakfast or taking the dog for a walk. But this style actually got so popular, the government cracked down on dressing down in 2010 when the city was holding the World Expo. China will have the most Christians on earth. China has always played a big role in religion. You can thank China for Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. Officially, however, this is an atheist country. But the underground Christian population is growing all the time, and by the year 2030, China will eclipse the United States with approximately 247 people seeking spiritual comfort in Jesus Christ. Right now, in the US, there are about 246 million Christians. And now, let's take a look at the weather report.
晚上好，欢迎关注湖北省天气。副热带高压外围的强降雨云带给江汉平原和鄂东地区带来了头伏的最后一场大到暴雨。暴雨中心位于钱江，截止到今天下午，这里24小时下了116毫米的大到暴雨。随着雨水的降临，气温也下滑到了30度以下。然而，盛夏时节凉爽的天气总是短暂的。明天开始，副热带高压将会继续西升北上，控制华中地区。预计下一周晴热高温将在我省唱主角，直到周末才会有阵雨前来降温。预计今天晚上，鄂西南、江汉平原和鄂东北有阵雨，明天阵雨转移到北部地区，南部只在局地有阵雨。明天全省的气温将大幅上升，大部地区的最高气温将达到35度以上。升温幅度最大的是宜都，今天还只有28.5度，明天将会上升至37度，后天继续攀升。预计今晚到明天，黄冈的麻城、罗田、阴山发生崩塌、滑坡等地质灾害气象风险较高，这里要加强巡查，注意防范灾害。好了，一起来看具体的城市预报。武汉多云转阵雨27到34摄氏度，鄂州多云转中雨27到33度，咸宁多云转中雨25到33度，金门晴到多云26到34度，黄冈多云转阵雨27到33度，黄石多云转阵雨27到33度，宜昌多云27到36度，孝感晴到多云27到35度，襄阳晴到多云25到35度，随州多云转阵雨25到36度，荆州多云27到35度，十堰晴到多云25到36度，恩施晴到多云24到36度，神农架晴到多云18到30度，天门多云26到35度，钱江多云27到35度，仙桃多云26到34度，武汉多云转阵雨27到34度。
Thank you for that hard-hitting weather report. And now to the sports desk with these news stories.
Back now with a sign of the times, the number of students from China studying at U.S. colleges and universities has more than tripled in the last decade, with one of the biggest Chinese student populations at the University of Illinois. So how is the school trying to make them feel part of the American college experience? As NBC's John Yang tells us, one way is in the play-by-play.
The sights and sounds of college football. What could be more American? Wait, how's that again? That's right, play-by-play in Mandarin. In the only program of its kind, Bruce Liu and David He broadcast every home game in their native language for the more than 5,000 Chinese students at the University of Illinois. Bruce is the stats guy. David's the one with the energy. Some things don't translate exactly.
What about the term for quarterback? What is it literally in Chinese?
Quarter is one fourth, right? So it's 1/4 of the guard. Stuff that I don't know how to say in Chinese, I just say it in English.
Neither of them had ever seen a game until a few years ago.
I have no idea what I'm looking at. People get so excited. I have no idea. It's different than Chinese culture, and I got shocked. People are cheering and hugging, kissing, So that's fun. It was fun.
What they might lack in expertise, they make up for with enthusiasm. Listen to this Illinois win earlier in the season. Football can be a big part of the college experience, but for the 12% of the Illinois student body who come from China, it can be a foreign language.
They can feel the enthusiastic stuff going on in the audio, and they, after listening to one game or two, they want to go to the stadium to see the real game. And that's something we're very proud of.
School officials are so happy with the broadcast, Bruce and David will do basketball this winter, bringing their own special brand of excitement to that game as well. John Yang, NBC News.
现场及电视机前的观众朋友们，大家好。我是王松鹤，来自古城辽阳。印洲华报记者王松鹤，印第安纳波利斯报道。
For India Asian American Times, I'm Jason Wang.
印洲华报记者王松鹤，印第安纳波利斯报道。
For India Asian American Times, I'm Jason Wang.
Hi guys, I'm Jason Wang. Now I'm reporting the news at IUPUI track and field ground.
America is a country on the wheels, and Indy 500 is one of the most important and popular sports events in America. What does the car mean to American people here? Let's go and check it out.
各位观众，我现在所在的位置是美国印第安纳州首府印第安纳波利斯，而我身后的这座球馆呢，就是印第安纳步行者队和印第安纳狂热队的主场——银行家生活球馆。
After losing to the Knicks on Thursday night, the Pacers came back to the Bankers Left Field House on Friday afternoon. Head coach Frank Vogel made every player shoot 100 more free throws. And he also communicated a lot with Paul George during practice.
二位是第一次来这儿看 Pacers 的比赛吗？我二位最心中说最支持的球星是哪一位？你说你喜欢保罗乔治，那么对于说Paul George 过去2场比赛，你有
？You suffered twice, ACL injury. So will you please describe about the moment when you suffered injury?
Something about why is so important and make the last year make the decision to and IUPUI.
He had made the commitment and told his grandfather he wanted to play in Indianapolis, so his grandfather could see him play.
Coming to the field house to watch the game in person has been my dream for over 10 years.
Finally, year after year after year, like there, and there, he won. I'm up there crying my eyes out. He won.
Wow.
I'm so happy.
Yes, as the elements they mentioned, being a bilingual sports reporter was my commitment. It's my dream, and I have been striving for the dream for years.
Those were some fascinating stories in the world of sports. Well, kids, that's the end of this week's program. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week. And as always, keep your hands clean, your parents happy, and stay healthy.